Hi, I'm Steve and welcome to the channel and the Honda Hornet Café racer build. If you're new at the channel, go back, there's loads of things have happened. Go back, look at some of the old videos, catch up. All these videos show that even in a small space like this, you can build a Café racer with minimal tools and minimal skills. If you're a returning viewer, thanks for coming back, and you know what I'm going to say to everybody, please hit the subscribe button. It helps the channel out, it doesn't cost anything, and it makes all the difference to the algorithms or whatever. Leaving a comment also helps, and I will always reply if I can get the answer. So like, subscribe, press the bell notification. Continuing with the wiring, I know it's not the most interesting thing in the world, but my idea is that anybody can do this. If you take your time, logical steps, you know, be methodical, you can do this, especially if you're using an old wiring loom from a bike you know was running. Even more so, there should be no problems. You could always use your wiring loom to make a new loom from, knowing where everything goes. So we'll continue with the loom, and it's an important part of the bike. As I say, it's not that difficult, just got to be methodical. So that's it, let's get on with some work. Okay, continuing with the wiring. I forgot to mention last time, the tape I use is cloth tape. It's not like PVC electrical tape, which if it gets petrol on can go a bit funny. This is cloth tape which stands a lot higher temperatures. Doesn't feel that sticky, but it sticks to itself well. It's stronger, it's a bit more heat resistant. That's the stuff I use. It's easy to find. Right, so first cable I'm going to extend just to show you. I'm not going to show you every cable that I extend, but so this one's possibly the longest one. It's going to run up there, across the top, and then down to the connector, under there, down to the connector. So that will need approximately this much. And this is my first tip. Always allow plenty of cable. It doesn't cost that much, and if you decide to route a different way, you know you're not going to have to extend it again. So I'm going to route that up there like that, across there, maybe go up that side, I haven't decided yet. So that's going to give me an extra few inches, and I wouldn't mind an extra few inches. So I'll cut that off, and we'll join that onto this one. So this is the original cable, which went, it says there 2E, this was connector E, and that was just cut off there like that. And I'm basically going to extend that onto there and then onto there. But what I'm going to do first is, I don't want this sleeving on. I am going to replace this sleeving. I was going to possibly tape it up with the cloth tape, but I'm not now. I've ordered some sleeving which you'll see later. So my label's got to come off for now. Sleeve off, that's going in the bin. And then I'm going to join it together, not using bullet clips or bullet things. I am going to solder it together. So I have to strip back the cable. I'll continue with my old wire strippers. So let's put that down there. So we know it's 18 gauge, so put it on 18. I'll strip about 3/4 of an inch, about 20 millimeters. So there's that, and I will strip the same on this side. So that's that. Soldering iron. I've only got a cheap soldering iron, but it's already been tinned, which means you've got solder on there, just a thin layer of solder. Warm it up, put your solder on, then wipe it off on a damp cloth. This just helps protect it from corrosion and things like that. So I'll put that on to warm up, and that is on, so I have to remember not to touch it. If you were joining two wires together, obviously you'd put a bit of heat shrink sleeve on there first before you joined it, because you won't get it on afterwards. But I haven't done the other end yet, so there's a couple of ways of joining these. Some people like to splay the wires and push them together, and then like that, and then twist it out, which makes, I think, for a nice neat job. Doesn't bulk up the wire, so you don't end up with a big thick lump, but it's still got a sort of mechanical join, so that's pretty good. It's still got a, you pull it apart if you tried, but it's okay. So soldering, what you don't want to do is melt the solder on the wire and drip it on, because it's called cold soldering then, and it is just stuck on the top, and it's not very good. Could do with some of them little hand things. So the best way to do it is to warm up the solder, warm up the wire to the temperature that melts the solder. It doesn't really look like it's on, but it is, because I can smell it. So you warm up the wire till the wire's hot enough to melt the solder. Now the solder's obviously, soldering gun's hot enough. Oh, maybe it's not. Right, I do believe my soldering iron is not good enough. Okay, so a couple of days later, and new soldering iron. And you can see that one's on because it's smoking. So I've just warmed it up, tinned it, some new solder as well, and hopefully this will work. That soldering iron, whatever's happened to it, it wasn't warming up the wire warm enough to get the solder on. So there you go. So we'll continue. Okay, so you can see that, so the solder is all seeped into the join of the wire. It's still a bit warm, but because we joined it by splaying it and not by, need a little bit of wire to show you this. The other way that people join the wire is they'll strip it back and then twist it together, do both wires like that, then lay the wires over at 90 degrees and then twist them round like that, and then solder it. But look how bulky it is. It's nowhere near as neat as that is. Now it's soldered. That is twisted together, and that's, and that is joined properly. The solder's all seeped into the wire, and that is barely thicker than the wire itself. So now over that you put a bit of heat shrink just to protect it. That's about that long, and heat shrink shrinks about 2 to 3 times. So if you get a piece that's nice and neat to start with like that, that's not going to go much. And there's a couple of ways of doing this. You can use a heat gun, which is good. You can use the heat off your soldering iron, which works, or you could use a lighter. The risk with the lighter or any flame is that you scorch the wire. So I'll just do it with the soldering iron, just to show you. Just brushing across it really lightly. And there you go. And that's it. That's shrunk on, protected. I prefer to use the heat gun, which I will just check all that with the heat gun. But that's it. That wire's now joined, and I'll continue. I've got, well, a few to join, but there was 3 that went into plug E. So we'll do all them 3. But what I've also got, and it's arrived now, because I was waiting for my soldering iron, is braided sleeve, which I like a lot better This isn't split. I'm gonna have to get some split stuff as well, but that you can see expands. This is the smallest I could get. So what I'll do is I'll put each of the 3 wires through to the point where it so they go through there to the point where they all come together. Then I'll put 3 wires through, and what I'll do is I'll put the sleeve in all the way down to there. I'll put the sleeve in on all the way down to there, and then I'll put some heat shrink around that, and then it'll come to about there. Then all 3 wires will go together in one piece of sleeve all the way along, and that's how I'm going to do that. So that's 1 wire. I've got 3 to do, 2 more to do. The last wire that I soldered, that goes down here next to the water pump. So I'm going to tip that back. So that goes on here. I don't know if you can see, I know that it's there. Right, and that's going to run up here outside of there and across there and then up across there and then up next to this wire. So when it gets to, and this blue one goes from there up there, and then at that point all those 3 will join together. So what I'll do is I'll sleeve that wire to there, I'll sleeve that wire to there, and then from there all 3 will go in the same sleeve across. So I'll do that now. So I'm going to sleeve to just after, see how neat that can go. Yeah, sleeve to just after that join. So I'll do that now. Okay, so you know what I'm going to say, we're about 10 minutes in, so I'm going to split this video, continue it on Sunday. Ready to start putting on the sleeving, and we'll carry on with that on Sunday. So don't forget, like, subscribe, press the bell notification, and I will see you on Sunday.